Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when you wonder if God's hand is truly on you. The truth is, He has been working in your life all along, even when you don't see it. You don't need a perfect life to be blessed. You need a surrendered heart. God's blessings don't always look like what the world expects, but they are undeniable, unshakable, and unmistakable. If you're walking in His purpose, you are already blessed beyond measure. One of the greatest signs that you are a woman blessed by God is that despite life's challenges, you have an unshakable faith. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. There have been seasons when you faced uncertainty, pain, and trials that seemed impossible to overcome. But instead of giving up, you kept your eyes on God. You didn't let fear dictate your decisions. You didn't allow the enemy's whispers of doubt to pull you away from your faith. Instead, you chose to believe in the goodness of God even when you couldn't see the outcome. That faith, that radical trust in Him is a sign of His blessing in your life. A woman who is blessed by God also carries an undeniable peace. While the world is anxious and restless, you walk with a calmness that doesn't make sense to others. It's not that life has been easy, it's that you know who is in control. This peace is not something you manufactured on your own. It's a supernatural gift, a sign that God's presence is leading your life. It's what allows you to sleep at night when others are consumed by worry. It's what keeps your heart steady when storms come. It's what gives you the confidence to keep going when others are ready to quit. That peace is a mark of God's blessing. Another sign of being a woman blessed by God is the joy that remains in your heart, even when life is difficult. This joy is not dependent on circumstances. It's not about whether everything is going your way or whether every prayer has been answered the way you wanted. It's deeper than that. It comes from knowing that God is working everything together for your good. It comes from a heart that chooses gratitude over grumbling. Even when life has been unfair, you've learned to say, God, I trust you. I know you have a plan. That joy, that deep sense of contentment and praise is a sure sign that God's hand is upon you. A woman who is blessed by God walks with wisdom. She doesn't just make decisions based on emotions or fleeting feelings. She seeks God first. She prays before she acts. She listens more than she speaks. She surrounds herself with godly counsel. There have been times when you faced choices that could have led you down the wrong path, but God gave you discernment. He whispered to your heart, guiding you, leading you away from harm and toward His best. That wisdom is not your own. It is a blessing from the Lord. A sure sign that you are a woman blessed by God is the love that flows from you. You love people not because they deserve it, but because God first loved you. You forgive even when it's hard. You show kindness even when others don't. You choose compassion over judgment. The world teaches that love should be conditional, but you have learned a different way. God has poured His love into you, and now it flows to others. That kind of love is not ordinary. It is supernatural. It is a mark of God's blessing. You are also a woman blessed by God if you have the strength to rise again. Life has knocked you down more times than you can count. You faced betrayals, disappointments, and losses that could have broken you. But here you are still standing, still believing, still hoping. That strength is not your own. It is God's power working in you. The enemy thought he could take you out, but God had other plans. He lifted you up, renewed your spirit, and gave you the endurance to keep moving forward. That resilience is a gift, a blessing that only God can give. Another sign of being a woman blessed by God is that you have a purpose greater than yourself. You don't just live for success, money, or recognition. You live for something eternal. You wake up every day knowing that God has called you to make a difference. You may not always see the impact you're making, but heaven does. Every kind word, every act of service, every prayer you've prayed, it all matters. You are a woman who walks in purpose, and that is a sure sign that you are blessed by God. One of the greatest signs that you are a woman blessed by God is the grace that covers your life. You are not perfect. You have made mistakes. You have fallen short. But God's grace has been there every step of the way. He has redeemed your past, restored your heart, and rewritten your story. The enemy may try to remind you of your failures, but God reminds you of His grace. He is not done with you. He is still working, still refining, still using you for His glory. That grace, that constant outpouring of His mercy and love is the ultimate sign that you are truly blessed. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. Life brings challenges, uncertainties, and moments when you feel like you're walking in the dark, but faith allows you to take the next step, even when you don't see the whole path. It's not about knowing exactly how things will work out. It's about believing that God is already there, making a way. Think about the moments in your life when you had no idea how you were going to make it through. The times when your strength was gone, the situation seemed impossible, and doubt whispered that you should give up. But you didn't. Something deep within you held on. You may not have realized it at the time, but that was faith in action. That was God working in you, strengthening you, reminding you that he never leaves his children alone. Faith is not measured by how easy your life is, but by how steadfast your heart remains in the midst of trials. It's easy to trust God when everything is going well, when prayers are answered quickly, when doors are opening, and when you feel blessed in obvious ways. But real faith is tested in the waiting. It's tested in the silence, in the storms, in the moments when God's plan doesn't make sense. That's when you discover what you truly believe. There have been times in your life when things didn't go the way you planned. You prayed, you hoped. You did everything right, yet the answer didn't come in the way you expected. Maybe you lost an opportunity, maybe a relationship didn't work out, or maybe you faced a setback that made you question everything. But looking back, you can see how God was working behind the scenes. You see now that what you thought was a failure was actually protection. What you thought was a delay was actually preparation. Faith is trusting that even when life feels unfair, God is still in control. One of the greatest examples of faith is learning to surrender. It's easy to hold on tightly to your own plans, your own understanding, and your own expectations. But faith means letting go and trusting that God's plan is greater. It means saying, God, I don't see the full picture, but I know you do. I don't understand why this is happening, but I trust that you are good. It's a daily decision to walk by faith and not by sight. Faith isn't passive, it requires action. It means stepping forward even when you're afraid. It means making decisions based on God's promises rather than your emotions. It means refusing to give in to fear, doubt, or negativity. Faith means showing up, doing the work, praying the prayers, and believing that God will meet you right where you are. It's not about having perfect faith, it's about having persistent faith. Even when you feel weak, even when you have questions, even when you don't see immediate results, you keep believing. Think about the people in the Bible who demonstrated great faith. None of them had an easy journey. Abraham was asked to leave everything he knew without knowing where he was going. Joseph endured years of hardship before stepping into his destiny. Esther had to risk her life to fulfill God's purpose. Each of them had moments of fear and uncertainty, but they chose faith over fear. That's what made them stand out. That's what made them blessed. Faith is also contagious. When you trust God boldly, it encourages others to do the same. Your testimony, your resilience, your unwavering belief in God's goodness inspires those around you. Sometimes the greatest impact you have on others isn't in the words you say, but in the way you live. When people see you walk through difficulties with peace, when they see you hold on to hope when everything seems lost, they recognize that something greater is at work in you. Your faith is not just for you, it's a legacy. It's something that shapes your family, your community, and generations to come. The prayers you pray today, the choices you make to trust God, even when it's hard, will bear fruit far beyond what you can see right now. Every act of faith, no matter how small, is significant in God's eyes. There is a peace that the world cannot give, a peace that doesn't come from perfect circumstances, predictable outcomes, or the absence of trouble. This kind of peace is supernatural, unshakable, and deeply rooted in trust. It is the kind of peace that God gives to those who place their confidence in Him, no matter what life throws their way. Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything seems to be in place, and the next, a storm appears out of nowhere. Problems arise, relationships are tested, unexpected challenges knock on your door, and suddenly anxiety and fear try to take over. But when you are walking with God, there is an inner calm that keeps you steady. This peace is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It is about knowing deep in your heart that despite what you see and feel, God is in control. People spend their whole lives chasing peace in all the wrong places. They think they will find it in success, in financial stability, in relationships, or in the perfect life plan. But external things can never provide lasting peace because they can be taken away in an instant. True peace comes only from God, and when He gives it, nothing can take it away. It is a peace that surpasses all understanding, meaning it doesn't always make sense to others. People may look at you and wonder how you remain so calm in the middle of a storm, but they don't realize that it is God holding you together. There have been moments in your life when worry tried to consume you. You have faced sleepless nights, overthinking, and the weight of uncertainty pressing down on you. But then there was a shift. Perhaps it was a simple prayer, a reminder from Scripture, or a quiet whisper in your spirit telling you, "Be still, I am with you." In that moment, peace entered your heart. Nothing had changed on the outside, but something changed within you. That is the peace of God. One of the most powerful ways to receive God's peace is through surrender. Worry and fear thrive in a heart that tries to control everything. But the moment you release your grip and say, "God, I trust you," peace takes its place. It doesn't mean you stop caring or stop making wise decisions. It means you stop carrying burdens that were never meant for you to bear alone. God invites you to cast your anxieties on him because he cares for you. When you do, he replaces your stress with stillness, your fear with faith, and your anxiety with assurance. Peace is not just something you receive, it's something you carry with you. It affects the way you interact with others, the way you respond to challenges, and the way you walk through life. When God's peace is within you, it changes your perspective. You stop reacting out of fear, and instead you respond with wisdom. You stop rushing and start resting in God's timing. You stop letting circumstances dictate your mood because your heart is anchored in something greater. This kind of peace is also a protection. It guards your heart and mind from being overwhelmed by negativity, doubt, and fear. It is a shield against the enemy's attempts to discourage and distract you. When thoughts of worry creep in, when fear tries to steal your joy, the peace of God stands as a defense, reminding you that he is greater than any face. Your peace is also a testimony. The way you remain calm in difficult times speaks louder than words. People notice when you don't fall apart under pressure, when you face hardships with confidence, when you radiate joy even in the midst of trials. It makes them wonder what your secret is, and that opens the door to point them to the source of true peace. Your life becomes a reflection of God's presence, showing others that his peace is real and available to all who trust in him. No matter what comes your way, you can walk in peace because God is with you. You don't have to figure everything out on your own. You don't have to carry the weight of the world. His peace is a gift freely given to those who seek him. And once you have it, you'll never want to live without it. Joy is more than just a fleeting emotion or a response to good circumstances. It is a deep, unshakable confidence that no matter what happens, God is still good and his plans for your life are still unfolding in the best way possible. The world defines joy as something that comes and goes, something that depends on success, relationships, or personal achievements. But true joy, the kind that God gives, is different. It is not based on circumstances. It is rooted in something far greater, his presence, his promises, and his unchanging love. There have been times in your life when you felt overwhelmed, discouraged, or even broken. Maybe you walked through a season of loss, disappointment, or uncertainty. But somehow, even in the midst of it, you found a strength that didn't come from yourself. You found reasons to smile, to hope, and to keep going. That was not just positivity, it was joy. The kind of joy that comes from knowing that God is with you, working all things for your good. The kind of joy that cannot be taken away by difficult moments because it is not based on them. One of the greatest signs of spiritual maturity is the ability to have joy in every season, not just when everything is going well. It's easy to be joyful when life is smooth, when prayers are answered quickly, and when you feel like you're on top of the world. But real joy is tested in the waiting and the trials, in the moments when you have every reason to complain but choose instead to praise. This kind of joy confuses people. They don't understand how you can have peace when things seem uncertain, how you can still smile when life throws difficulties your way, how you can continue to worship when things don't go as planned. But that's because your joy isn't from this world, it's from the Lord. Joy is also a choice. Every day you have an opportunity to focus on what's wrong or to focus on what's right. You can dwell on what you've lost or celebrate what you still have. You can magnify your problems or magnify your God. The enemy wants to steal your joy by keeping you focused on what you lack, what didn't work out, and what you wish were different. But God calls you to a different perspective. He calls you to choose gratitude, to find reasons to praise him, and to focus on his goodness rather than your struggles. There is power in choosing joy. It changes the atmosphere around you. When you walk into a room with a joyful spirit, it lifts others up. People are drawn to joy because it is rare in a world full of stress, worry, and negativity. Your joy can be a testimony to those around you, showing them that God is real, that his peace is available, and that life with him is different. You don't have to pretend that everything is perfect, but you can show others that even in imperfection, you still have hope. Joy is also found in serving others. When you take your eyes off your own struggles and focus on blessing those around you, something shifts in your heart. You begin to see how much you have to be thankful for. You recognize that even in your own challenges, you still have something to give. Whether it's a word of encouragement, an act of kindness, or a simple smile, joy grows when it is shared. Another powerful truth about joy is that it brings strength. When you feel weary, when life feels heavy, joy has the ability to renew you. The Bible says that the joy of the Lord is your strength. That means that joy is not just a nice feeling, it is a force that empowers you to keep going. It gives you endurance, resilience, and the ability to push through hardships. The enemy knows this, which is why he works so hard to steal your joy. But when you guard it, protect it, and choose it daily, you walk in a strength that nothing can take away. The beauty of joy is that it doesn't require everything to be perfect. You don't have to wait for all your prayers to be answered, for every situation to improve, or for life to be exactly how you imagine. Joy is available right now in this moment, no matter what you're facing. It is a gift from God, and when you embrace it, you'll find that it changes everything. Purpose is one of the greatest gifts God gives, is the reason you are here, the unique calling placed on your life, and the way God wants to use you for something greater than yourself. When you understand your purpose, life takes on a deeper meaning. You no longer live just to get through the day. You live with intention, knowing that every moment, every decision, and every opportunity is a part of something bigger than you can see. There is no greater fulfillment than knowing you are walking in the path God designed for you. But purpose is not always easy to recognize. There are seasons when you may wonder if you are truly making a difference. You may question whether your life matters, whether your work has meaning, or whether you are on the right path. But even in those moments of doubt, God is guiding you. Every experience, every challenge is shaping you for what He has prepared. Even the detours, the failures, and the unexpected twists in your journey are being woven into His plan. Purpose is not about position, status, or recognition. The world defines success by achievements and material gain, but God's purpose for you is far greater than anything temporary. It is about impact. It is about the lives you touch, the love you show, and the difference you make in ways you may not even realize. Some of the greatest work you will ever do will not be seen by the world, but it will be seen by heaven. There are moments when walking in your purpose requires stepping out in faith. It means saying yes to God, even when you don't have all the details. It means being willing to go where He leads, even when it feels uncomfortable. Purpose is not always about knowing every step ahead. It is about trusting the one who does. God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. If He has placed something on your heart, He will provide the strength, the wisdom, and the opportunities to fulfill it. One of the ways you know you are walking in purpose is that your heart is drawn towards something greater than yourself. There is something that stirs in your spirit, something you can't ignore, a burden for people, a passion for a cause, or a desire to bring change in a certain area. That is not by accident. The gifts, talents, and passions inside you are placed there by God for a reason. They are clues to the purpose He has for you. Purpose is also about serving others. It is not just about personal fulfillment. It is about being a vessel for God's love and truth. Jesus set the ultimate example of living a life of purpose by serving, healing, teaching, and sacrificing for others. When you live with the mindset of how you can be a blessing, how you can encourage, uplift, and pour into others, you are walking in true purpose. The most meaningful moments in life are not when you receive, but when you give. Walking in purpose does not mean life will be without challenges. In fact, the enemy often attacks those who are making an impact. There will be obstacles, opposition, and moments when you feel unqualified, but purpose is not about perfection, it is about persistence. It is about pressing forward, even when you don't see immediate results. It is about trusting that God is using every part of your journey, even the difficult moments, to shape you for what He has called you to do. Another sign that you are walking in purpose is that there is a sense of peace, even in uncertainty. There is a deep knowing in your spirit that you are exactly where you need to be. Even if the process is hard, even if you don't have all the answers, there is an assurance that you are on the right path. That peace is God's confirmation that He is with you, guiding you and working all things together for your good. Purpose is not something you find once and then never think about again. It is a journey, a daily decision to walk in obedience, to listen to God's voice, and to take steps of faith. It is not limited by age, background, or past mistakes. As long as you are alive, God has a purpose for you. And when you embrace it, when you live with intention and trust in His plan, you will experience the kind of fulfillment that nothing in this world can offer. Grace is one of the most beautiful gifts from God. It is His unmerited favor, His undeserved kindness, and His unending love poured out on you, not because of anything you have done, but simply because of who He is. Grace covers your past, strengthens your present, and secures your future. It is not something you can earn, it is something you receive. And when you live under the covering of grace, it changes everything. There have been moments in your life when you have fallen short, when you have made mistakes, when you have struggled with doubt, fear, or failure. But grace meets you right where you are. It does not condemn you, it lifts you up. It reminds you that your worth is not based on your perfection, but on God's love for you. His grace is greater than your failures, stronger than your weaknesses, and more powerful than anything that tries to hold you back. Living under grace means understanding that you are not defined by your past. There may be things you wish you had done differently, decisions you regret, or seasons that you would rather forget. But God does not hold those things against you. When you surrender them to Him, He forgives completely. He does not bring up old mistakes to shame you. He redeems them to transform you. His grace turns your greatest struggles into testimonies of His faithfulness. Grace is also the strength to keep going when life feels overwhelming. There are days when you feel weak, when burdens feel too heavy to carry, and when you don't know if you have the strength to take another step. But God's grace is sufficient. It is in those very moments of weakness that His power is made perfect. He does not expect you to do everything on your own. He invites you to rely on Him. When you lean into his grace, you find a strength that is beyond your own. One of the greatest signs that you're covered by grace is the peace that fills your heart even when circumstances are uncertain. Grace is not just about what happens after you fail. It is about the way God walks with you every step of the journey. His grace goes before you, preparing the way. It surrounds you, protecting you from dangers you never even knew existed. It follows you, ensuring that nothing is wasted. Even when things don't go as planned, even when prayers seem delayed, grace reminds you that God is still working, still moving, still writing your story in a way that is greater than you could have imagined. Grace also empowers you to extend that same love to others. When you understand how much grace you have received, you become more willing to give it to those around you. Instead of holding on to bitterness, you forgive. Instead of judging, you show compassion. Instead of responding with anger, you choose kindness. The world teaches people to respond with harshness, but grace teaches you to respond with love. You don't extend grace because others deserve it. You extend it because you have received it freely from God. Living under grace does not mean you will never struggle, never face difficulties, or never have moments of doubt. But it does mean that in every situation God is with you. His grace does not run out. He does not get tired of you or give up on you. He continues to mold you, shape you, and draw you closer to him. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every trial becomes a testimony. And every weakness becomes an opportunity for his strength to be revealed. There is no limit to God's grace. It is not just for one moment of salvation. It is for every single day of your life. It is for the days when you feel strong and the days when you feel weak. It is for the moments when you feel close to God and the moments when you feel distant. It is for the seasons of blessing and the seasons of struggle. No matter where you are or what you are facing, grace is always enough. When you live under grace, you live in freedom. You are no longer bound by the weight of your past, the fear of failure, or the pressure to be perfect. You walk in the confidence that God is for you, that he is working in you, and that his grace will carry you through every challenge you face. And that is the greatest gift of all. Through every season of life, through every trial and triumph, through every moment of doubt and victory, one thing remains constant. God's hand is upon you. You are not just living by chance. You are walking in divine purpose, covered by his grace, filled with his peace, strengthened by his joy, and guided by his love. The signs of a woman blessed by God are not found in worldly success or outward appearances, but in the depth of her faith, the resilience of her spirit, and the way she walks in confidence, knowing she is chosen, cherished, and called for something greater. You don't have to strive to prove your worth. You are already loved beyond measure. You don't have to fear what lies ahead. God has already gone before you. You don't have to carry burdens alone. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. So stand firm in your faith. Walk boldly in your purpose. Love freely, forgive quickly, and trust deeply. No matter what comes your way, you are not alone. You are one blessed by God, and nothing can take that away.